Ladies and gentlemen, there is a saying, simple yet profound in life. What you reveal defines your story. What you withhold defines your wisdom. Today I want to talk about wisdom, not the kind you read about in books or learn in classrooms, but the kind you carry in your spirit, in your choices, and in your silences. Now, let me clarify something. When I say a woman must hide three things from a man, I am not speaking of deception or mistrust. I speak of preservation of power, dignity, and the essence of who you are. Because sometimes it is not what you share that makes you strong, but what you keep sacred. Universal truth with a personal touch. In the art of speech making, the ability to connect universal truths with personal experiences is what separates a fleeting moment from a lasting impression. Audiences may forget your exact words, but they will never forget how your words made them feel. When a speaker effectively weaves relatable concepts into personal narratives, they not only captivate the listener, but also create a space for shared understanding, reflection, and growth. At its core, a universal truth is a principle that resonates across cultures, ages, and backgrounds. It's an idea or observation so inherently human that it strikes a chord regardless of who hears it. For example, the longing for love, the struggle for purpose, the ache of loss, or the joy of triumph. These are experiences that transcend geography and time. But a universal truth, presented without context or emotion, can feel abstract, even sterile. That is where the personal touch comes in, breathing life into the truth and making it accessible. Imagine a speech that opens with the line, "Every dream begins with a risk." On its own, it's a strong, universal idea. But now imagine it is followed by a story of vivid retelling of a speaker's own journey. Perhaps they share a moment when they stood on the precipice of a life-changing decision, battling fear and doubt. They describe the sound of their heartbeat, the sweat on their palms, and the voice of encouragement or opposition they heard at that pivotal moment. Suddenly, the universal truth is no longer just an idea. It's a living, breathing reality. The audience is transported into the speaker's world, and through that connection, they see their own challenges reflected. But why is this approach so effective? The answer lies in the way humans are wired. Our brains are storytelling machines. Neuroscience shows that when we hear a story, our brains simulate the events as if we were experiencing them ourselves. This process, called neural coupling, fosters empathy and understanding. A universal truth, when anchored to a personal story, activates the audience's imagination and emotions, creating a bridge between the speaker and the listener. However, not all stories carry the same weight. The personal touch must be carefully calibrated. It is not about boasting or making oneself the center of attention. Rather, it's about vulnerability and authenticity. A story that reveals struggle, doubt, or failure often carries more power than one that solely celebrates success. This vulnerability allows the audience to see the speaker as relatable, someone who has walked the same roads they have, stumbled over the same obstacles, and learned lessons worth sharing. Take, for instance, the universal truth that perseverance leads to success. Many speakers could simply assert this fact, but it would likely feel redundant or uninspired. Now imagine a speaker recounting how they once failed a critical exam, doubted their abilities, and even considered giving up entirely. They described the moment of self-reflection that led them to persevere, the small steps they took to rebuild their confidence, and the eventual success that came not as a sudden miracle, but as the result of consistent effort. In doing so, they don't just deliver the message, they embody it. Their story becomes a beacon for anyone in the audience who has ever felt like quitting. The power of universal truths paired with personal stories isn't confined to inspiring moments. They are equally impactful when addressing serious issues or sparking intellectual curiosity. A speaker discussing social justice might invoke the universal truth of equality, but their words gain depth and urgency when paired with a personal anecdote about witnessing or experiencing injustice. Similarly, a lecture on climate change might highlight the universal truth of interconnectedness, but it becomes more compelling when the speaker shares their personal experience of witnessing the beauty of nature under threat. It's also important to note that a personal touch doesn't always have to come from the speaker's own life. Quoting the experiences of others, whether historical figures, everyday heroes, or fictional characters, can also create a powerful connection. The key is to present these stories with the same vivid detail and emotional resonance as if they were the speaker's own. Finally, the delivery of the personal touch matters just as much as its content. The speaker's tone, body language, and timing all play a role in amplifying the impact of their words. A story should unfold naturally, like a conversation with an old friend, rather than feeling rehearsed or theatrical. When done right, this approach doesn't just engage the audience, it transforms them. They leave the room not only remembering the story, but also re-examining their own lives in light of the universal truth it illustrated. By merging universal truths with a personal touch, a speaker doesn't just inform, they inspire. They don't just communicate, they connect. And in that connection lies the power to influence, uplift, and create change. Confidence and clarity. Confidence and clarity are the twin pillars of impactful communication. They transform words into actions, ideas into movements, and speakers into leaders. Together, they ensure not only that a message is delivered, but that it is remembered and acted upon. A speaker who embodies confidence and communicates with clarity can inspire trust, ignite motivation, and foster understanding, even in the most challenging of circumstances. Confidence begins long before a speaker steps onto a stage. It is not about arrogance or posturing, but about a deep belief in the value of one's message. A confident speaker radiates authenticity and conviction, which in turn helps the audience feel secure in listening. This confidence is cultivated through preparation, self-awareness, and a commitment to the subject matter. Preparation is a cornerstone of confidence. A speaker who knows their content thoroughly is less likely to falter under pressure. This doesn't just mean memorizing facts or rehearsing lines. It means understanding the topic from every angle, anticipating questions, and being prepared to address skepticism. When a speaker is prepared, they do not fear interruption or challenge, they welcome it as an opportunity to deepen the conversation. Self-awareness is another critical element. A confident speaker understands their own strengths and limitations. They know how to harness their natural style, whether it is authoritative, conversational, or humorous, to engage their audience. At the same time, they are humble enough to acknowledge what they do not know, which paradoxically enhances their credibility. Confidence is not about pretending to be infallible. It is about being comfortable in your own humanity while standing firm in your expertise. Clarity, on the other hand, is about making the complex simple and the abstract tangible. A message that is muddled or overloaded with jargon will lose even the most attentive audience. Clarity requires a speaker to strip away unnecessary complexity and focus on the core of their message. What do you want your audience to know, feel, and do by the end of your speech? Every word, example, and gesture should serve this purpose. One of the hallmarks of clarity is structure. A well-organized speech guides the audience through the content seamlessly, ensuring they never feel lost or overwhelmed. This can be achieved through frameworks like problem solution, past, present, future, or 3 key points. For example, if a speaker is discussing climate change, they might begin by outlining the problem with clear statistics, move to a solution with actionable steps, and close with a vision of a sustainable future. This structure not only aids comprehension, but also enhances the speaker's confidence, as they always know where they are and where they are headed. Language plays a crucial role in clarity. Simple, direct words are often more powerful than elaborate phrases. A confident speaker avoids jargon unless absolutely necessary and explains technical terms when they are used. Analogies and metaphors can also aid understanding by relating new concepts to familiar ideas. For instance, explaining a complex economic principle as balancing a household budget makes it accessible to a broader audience. Delivery is where confidence and clarity converge. The speaker's tone, pace, and body language can either reinforce their message or undermine it. Speaking too quickly or too softly can signal nervousness or uncertainty, while a steady pace and deliberate pauses project confidence. Similarly, open gestures, eye contact, and upright posture convey assurance and command attention. One common challenge speakers face is managing nervous energy. Even the most experienced presenters can feel anxious before addressing an audience. However, nervousness is not the enemy, it is a sign that you care about your message. The key is to channel that energy positively. Breathing exercises, visualization, and even rehearsing in front of a trusted friend can help transform anxiety into enthusiasm. Clarity also involves knowing your audience and tailoring your message to their needs. A confident speaker takes the time to research who they're speaking to, what they care about, and how they prefer to receive information. Speaking to a group of scientists might require a more data-driven approach, while addressing a high school audience might call for storytelling and relatable examples. Clarity means meeting your audience where they are and guiding them toward where you want them to be. Another aspect of clarity is knowing when to stop. Confidence does not mean filling every second with words. Sometimes silence can be more powerful than speech. A well-timed pause allows the audience to absorb what has been said and prepares them for what is to come. It also gives the speaker a moment to collect their thoughts and maintain control of the room. Confidence and clarity are not innate qualities, they are skills that can be developed with practice and persistence. The more a speaker prepares, reflects, and learns from experience, the more these traits become second nature. Confidence is about believing in the value of your message, and clarity is about ensuring that value is communicated effectively. Together, they create a powerful synergy that can move hearts, change minds, and inspire action. Humor and wit. Humor and wit are among the most powerful tools in a speaker's arsenal, capable of transforming an ordinary presentation into a memorable experience. Skillfully used, they can break the ice, establish rapport, and make complex or serious topics more accessible. However, humor is not just about making people laugh, it's about creating a connection, diffusing tension, and leaving a lasting impression. When deployed effectively, humor is a bridge between the speaker and the audience, fostering engagement and relatability. At the heart of effective humor lies timing. Timing is not just about when to tell a joke, it's about reading the room, understanding the flow of the speech, and knowing when humor will have the greatest impact. A well-placed quip or anecdote can lighten the mood in a tense moment or re-energize an audience after a heavy topic. For example, a speaker discussing workplace stress might say, "I knew it was bad when my coffee needed coffee," eliciting a chuckle while subtly addressing the issue. Humor in such moments acts as a reset button, refocusing attention and making the message more approachable. Relatability is another key element of effective humor. People laugh most easily at things they recognize in themselves or their own experiences. A speaker who can tap into shared experiences, whether it's the challenges of parenting, the awkwardness of Zoom calls, or the universal confusion of assembling IKEA furniture, immediately makes their audience feel seen. This shared laughter creates a sense of community, a "we're all in this together" vibe that deepens the connection between the speaker and the audience. Wit. A more refined form of humor involves cleverness and quick thinking. Unlike broad comedy, which often relies on subtlety and intelligence, which can elevate the tone of a speech while still keeping it engaging. For instance, a witty remark might take the form of a playful twist on a common phrase. They say good things come to those who wait, but let's be honest, it's usually what's left over after the go-getters have their turn. Such remarks invite the audience to think and laugh simultaneously, creating a moment of mental engagement that keeps them alert and invested. Self-deprecating humor is a particularly effective tool for building rapport. When the speaker pokes fun at their own flaws or past mistakes, they come across as relatable and humble rather than aloof or overly polished. For example, a speaker might begin with, "I've been asked to speak here today because the first 3 people they called didn't pick up," instantly disarming the audience and setting a lighthearted tone. This type of humor not only makes the speaker more approachable, but also demonstrates confidence. After all, it takes self-assurance to laugh at oneself in front of others. However, humor should always be used with intention and care. Misjudged jokes or insensitive remarks can alienate the audience rather than endear them. It's crucial to avoid humor that targets individuals or groups in a way that feels mean-spirited or exclusionary. Instead, aim for humor that uplifts, surprises, or cleverly subverts expectations. For instance, instead of ridiculing someone, a speaker might comment on a universal truth. I used to think adulting would mean knowing how to fold fitted sheets. Turns out, I'm just really good at hiding them under the other laundry. Such humor is inclusive, relatable, and safe without being dull. Humor can also be a tool for reinforcing key messages. A speaker might use a funny story to illustrate a point, ensuring that the audience remembers the message long after the speech is over. For example, in a talk about the importance of adaptability, a speaker might recount an anecdote about trying to follow outdated GPS directions, only to end up on a closed road. The humor in the situation makes it memorable, while the lesson be willing to change course when the path ahead is blocked remains clear. Additionally, humor and wit can act as tension diffusers in sensitive or serious discussions. When addressing topics like failure, conflict, or social issues, humor can help create a safe space for exploration and dialogue. For instance, a speaker discussing the fear of failure might say, "Failure is just success in progress, kind of like how my first pancake always looks more like a science experiment than breakfast." This not only draws a laugh, but also shifts the audience's perspective, making the topic feel less intimidating. Effective humor is also situational and audience sensitive. A speaker addressing a room of scientists might incorporate intellectual humor, such as a witty observation about scientific curiosity. You know you're a true researcher when you've asked, "What happens if I microwave this?" at least once in your life. Meanwhile, speaking to a younger audience might call for pop culture references or playful exaggeration. The humor should always feel tailored to the audience, showing that the speaker understands and respects their context. Finally, humor can enhance a speaker's authenticity. When a speaker laughs along with the audience or shares a genuine moment of amusement, it humanizes them and breaks down barriers. This authenticity makes the speaker more relatable and credible, creating an atmosphere where the audience feels not just entertained, but also understood. The most memorable speeches strike a balance, using humor and wit not as a crutch, but as a complement to substance. When done well, humor doesn't detract from the message, it amplifies it. It builds bridges of understanding, fosters emotional engagement, and ensures that the speaker's words linger long after the laughter fades. Subtle metaphors and analogies. Subtle metaphors and analogies are the secret ingredients of compelling communication. They take abstract ideas, complex concepts, or unfamiliar topics and present them in a way that is easy to understand and deeply resonant. When used effectively, these literary tools do more than explain. They evoke emotion, spark imagination, and transform a speech into a memorable experience. The power of metaphors and analogies lies not only in their ability to clarify, but also in their capacity to connect the known with the unknown, making the unfamiliar feel accessible and relatable. Metaphors and analogies work because they tap into a fundamental aspect of human cognition. Our brains are wired to think in terms of patterns and relationships. When a speaker compares an abstract concept to something tangible or familiar, it activates the audience's prior knowledge, allowing them to grasp new ideas more intuitively. For instance, a speaker explaining the fragility of trust might use the metaphor of a broken mirror. You can piece it back together, but the cracks will always remain. This image not only makes the concept of trust easier to visualize, but also evokes an emotional response, deepening the audience's understanding. One of the key strengths of subtle metaphors is their ability to communicate complexity without oversimplifying. For example, in a speech about leadership, a speaker might say, "A leader is not a lighthouse that commands the ship, but the compass that quietly guides its course." This metaphor shifts the audience's perception of leadership from authority to guidance, providing a nuanced understanding of the subject. Unlike direct explanations, metaphors allow for interpretation, inviting the audience to engage actively with the message. Similarly, analogies bridge the gap between the abstract and the concrete by drawing parallels between two seemingly unrelated concepts. In a discussion about the creative process, a speaker might compare it to planting a garden. Ideas are like seeds. They need time, care, and the right environment to grow. Not every seed will sprout, but the ones that do can transform the landscape. This analogy simplifies a complex topic while emphasizing the patience and nurturing required for creativity to flourish. The best metaphors and analogies are tailored to the audience. A speaker addressing a group of engineers might use technical comparisons, such as likening teamwork to a well-calibrated machine, where every part plays a critical role in achieving efficiency. On the other hand, when speaking to students, a speaker might draw from everyday experiences by comparing life's challenges to climbing a steep hill that's exhausting at times, but every step brings you closer to a breathtaking view. By considering the audience's background and experiences, the speaker ensures that their metaphors resonate on a personal level. Another hallmark of effective metaphors and analogies is their subtlety. Overly forced or heavy-handed comparisons can feel contrived, distracting the audience rather than enhancing their understanding. A subtle metaphor weaves seamlessly into the speech, enhancing the message without calling attention to itself. For example, instead of stating directly, "Time is money," a speaker might say, "Every minute you spend wisely is an investment in your future." This phrasing is less cliched and more thought-provoking, encouraging the audience to reflect on the value of time. Metaphors and analogies also have the power to evoke emotion, making the message more impactful. A speaker addressing climate change might say, "Our planet is like a house on fire, and we're debating over whether to call the fire department or rearrange the furniture." This vivid imagery conveys urgency and absurdity in a way that straightforward data or statistics cannot. Emotionally charged metaphors like this can galvanize action, leaving a lasting impression on the audience. Moreover, metaphors can unify diverse audiences by appealing to shared human experiences. For example, a speaker might address resilience by saying, "We are all like trees in a storm. Our branches may bend, but our roots keep us standing." This metaphor transcends cultural and personal differences, as the image of weathering a storm is universally understood. Such language fosters a sense of connection and shared understanding, strengthening the speaker's message. However, it is crucial to strike the right balance. While metaphors and analogies are powerful, overloading a speech with too many can dilute their impact. They should serve as highlights, not the foundation of the message. A well-placed metaphor can illuminate a point, but relying on them excessively can confuse the audience or make the speech feel overly poetic at the expense of clarity. When crafting metaphors and analogies, specificity enhances effectiveness. Vague or generic comparisons are less likely to resonate. For example, instead of saying, "Life is a journey," a speaker might say, "Life is like navigating a winding mountain road. You can't always see what's around the corner, but every twist and turn shapes your perspective." The vividness of the image makes it more engaging and memorable. Metaphors and analogies can also provide a sense of closure in a speech. A speaker might return to an earlier metaphor to tie their message together. For instance, if a speech began with a garden analogy for creativity, it might end with, "And remember, even the smallest seed given time and care can grow into something extraordinary." This creates a sense of cohesion and reinforces the central theme in the audience's mind. Ultimately, subtle metaphors and analogies are not just decorative language, they are a strategic means of communication. They make abstract ideas tangible, complex concepts relatable, and serious topics accessible. When used thoughtfully, they elevate a speech, from mere information delivery to an art form, ensuring the message resonates long after the words have been spoken. Emotional connection with the audience. An emotional connection is the cornerstone of impactful communication. It transforms a speech from a mere exchange of information into an unforgettable experience that resonates deeply with the audience. When a speaker can touch the hearts of their listeners, they inspire trust, empathy, and a sense of shared purpose. This connection is not about manipulating emotions, but about fostering authenticity and understanding, creating a space where the audience feels seen, valued, and engaged. To build an emotional connection, a speaker must first understand the power of vulnerability. Sharing personal stories, challenges, or triumphs allows the audience to relate to the speaker on a human level. For example, a speaker addressing resilience might recount a time they faced a significant setback and how they overcame it. This vulnerability does not diminish the speaker's authority. Instead, it enhances their credibility by demonstrating authenticity. Audiences are more likely to trust and connect with someone who is honest about their struggles and growth. Empathy is another vital element in forging an emotional bond. A speaker who demonstrates a genuine understanding of their audience's experiences, concerns, or aspirations immediately establishes trust. This requires thorough preparation, researching the audience's demographics, values, and challenges, and tailoring the message accordingly. For instance, addressing a group of educators might involve acknowledging the sacrifices they make for their students and the passion they bring to their work. When the audience feels understood, they are more open to the speaker's message. Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools for creating emotional connection. Humans are naturally drawn to stories. They help us make sense of the world and connect with others. A well-told story can evoke a wide range of emotions, from laughter to tears, making the speaker's message more memorable and impactful. For instance, a speaker discussing leadership might share an anecdote about a mentor who inspired them through an act of compassion or courage. The audience not only absorbs the lesson but also feels the emotional weight of the story, making it more likely to resonate. However, connecting emotionally goes beyond just sharing personal experiences. It involves tapping into universal themes and emotions that transcend individual differences. Concepts like hope, fear, love, and perseverance are deeply ingrained in the human experience and can serve as a common ground between the speaker and the audience. For example, a speech about overcoming adversity might highlight the universal truth that failure is not the opposite of success, but a stepping stone toward it. By focusing on themes that everyone can relate to, the speaker creates a sense of unity and shared understanding. Nonverbal communication also plays a crucial role in emotional connection. Eye contact, for example, can convey sincerity and build trust. When a speaker looks directly at their audience, they create a sense of intimacy, as if they are speaking to each person individually. Similarly, gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice can enhance the emotional impact of a message. A smile can convey warmth and approachability, while a pause can add weight to a poignant moment. The speaker's body language should align with their words to reinforce the authenticity of their message. Another key to emotional connection is evoking the audience's imagination. A speaker who uses vivid imagery and sensory details can transport their listeners to a different place or time, making the message more engaging and memorable. For instance, instead of simply stating that a challenge was difficult, a speaker might say, "It felt like climbing a mountain in the dark, with every step uncertain but necessary." This type of language allows the audience to feel the struggle and triumph alongside the speaker, deepening their emotional involvement. Empowering the audience is also an essential aspect of emotional connection. People are more likely to engage with a message when they feel it directly relates to their own lives or goals. A speaker who inspires their audience to take action, embrace change, or see themselves in a new light creates a lasting emotional impact. For example, in a speech about innovation, the speaker might conclude with, "You have the power to redefine the future. Every idea you nurture, every risk you take, brings us closer to a world no one has yet imagined." This call to action not only motivates but also reinforces the audience's sense of agency and purpose. Listening to the audience, even in a one-sided setting, is another way to foster connection. This means being attuned to their reactions, smiles, nods, laughter, or even silence and adjusting accordingly. A skilled speaker reads the room, recognizing when to add levity, slow down, or expand on a point. This responsiveness demonstrates respect for the audience and creates a dynamic, interactive experience, even if the interaction is nonverbal. Building emotional connection also involves balancing light and heavy moments. A speech that is too somber can feel overwhelming, while one that is overly lighthearted may lack depth. Alternating between humor and gravity can create a rhythm that keeps the audience emotionally engaged. For instance, a speaker discussing the challenges of entrepreneurship might share a humorous anecdote about a failed product idea before transitioning into a heartfelt reflection on persistence and learning from mistakes. This ebb and flow mirrors the complexities of real life, making the speech more relatable. Ultimately, emotional connection requires authenticity. Audiences can sense when a speaker is disingenuous or overly rehearsed, which can erode trust. True connection comes from a place of sincerity, speaking from the heart, and being fully present in the moment. When a speaker genuinely believes in their message and conveys it with passion, the audience feels it too. This shared energy creates a bond that transcends words, leaving a lasting impression long after the speech has ended. An emotional connection is not just a tool for effective communication, it is the essence of it. By engaging hearts as well as minds, a speaker can inspire not only understanding but also transformation. It is this ability to move people emotionally that elevates a speech from good to great, ensuring that the message lingers long after the applause has faded. The power of silence and pause. Silence is one of the most underappreciated yet profoundly powerful tools in communication. While words often take center stage, silence, the moments in between, creates rhythm, enhances meaning, and amplifies impact. In the hands of a skilled speaker, the strategic use of silence and pauses can transform a speech from ordinary to extraordinary. It provides a space for reflection, emphasizes critical points, and allows the audience to fully absorb the speaker's message. Silence, when used effectively, speaks louder than words. Pauses in a speech serve as mental punctuation, guiding the audience through the narrative. Just as commas and periods provide clarity in writing, pauses give structure to spoken words, preventing them from blending into an overwhelming stream of information. For instance, a well-placed pause after a thought-provoking question, such as "What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?" allows the audience to process the question, reflect on it, and engage more deeply with the speaker's message. Without this pause, the question might feel rushed and lose its intended impact. Silence can also serve as a moment of emphasis, drawing attention to key points. When a speaker pauses after delivering a critical line, it creates a sense of gravity and importance. Consider a statement like, "Success is not about never falling. Pause, it's about rising every time you do." The silence that follows the first part creates anticipation, while the pause after the second part gives the audience time to internalize the message. These moments of stillness compel the audience to focus and reflect, ensuring the point is not just heard but felt. Beyond emphasis, silence can be a powerful emotional tool. In moments of vulnerability or storytelling, a pause can heighten emotional resonance. For example, when recounting a personal struggle, a speaker might pause after sharing a particularly raw or poignant detail, allowing the weight of their words to settle in the room. This pause creates space for the audience to empathize and connect on a deeper emotional level. It signals that the speaker is fully present and invites the audience to be present as well. Silence is also a tool for creating suspense. A pause before revealing a surprising fact or conclusion builds anticipation, keeping the audience on the edge of their seats. For instance, a speaker might say, "We thought the experiment would fail, but instead it led to a discovery that changed everything," and then pause briefly before delivering the revelation. This moment of silence heightens curiosity, ensuring the audience is fully engaged when the punchline or insight is revealed. In addition to its emotional and dramatic functions, silence fosters inclusivity. It gives the audience time to process complex ideas, ensuring no one feels left behind. This is particularly important when discussing challenging or abstract topics. By pausing after a dense explanation or key concept, the speaker acknowledges that understanding takes time and allows the audience to catch up. This consideration builds trust and respect, enhancing the overall connection between speaker and listener. Silence is also a form of nonverbal communication. When a speaker pauses and maintains eye contact with the audience, they convey confidence, sincerity, and command of the room. This deliberate stillness can be more powerful than words, signaling that the speaker is in control and fully engaged. It contrasts sharply with nervous habits like rushing through a presentation or filling every moment with filler words such as or like. Silence in this context becomes a mark of poise and professionalism. Furthermore, silence can reset the energy in a room. During a long or intense presentation, a deliberate pause allows both the speaker and the audience to regroup and refocus. For instance, after a particularly animated section, a moment of silence can provide a sense of balance, preparing the audience for what comes next. These pauses act as a natural rhythm, much like rests in a piece of music, preventing monotony and maintaining engagement. However, the power of silence lies in its intentionality. Random or overly long pauses can confuse or frustrate the audience, breaking the flow of the speech. Effective pauses are deliberate and aligned with the message, enhancing rather than detracting from the presentation. A speaker must master the art of timing, ensuring their pauses feel natural and purposeful. Silence is also a tool for reflection, not just for the audience, but for the speaker. Pausing allows the speaker to gather their thoughts, ensuring clarity and precision in their delivery. It prevents the temptation to rush or speak impulsively, leading to a more composed and impactful presentation. In this way, silence benefits not only the audience but also the speaker, creating a moment of mutual stillness that enhances communication. Culturally, silence carries different meanings, and a skilled speaker considers these nuances when addressing diverse audiences. In some cultures, silence is a sign of respect and contemplation, while in others, it may be perceived as awkward or uncomfortable. Understanding these differences ensures that pauses are received as intended, fostering connection rather than misunderstanding. Incorporating silence into a speech requires practice and self-awareness. Speakers must learn to embrace stillness, resisting the urge to fill every moment with sound. This requires confidence and a shift in mindset, viewing silence not as a void but as a powerful presence. By mastering this art, speakers can create speeches that are not only heard but truly felt, leaving an indelible mark on their audience. Ultimately, silence is not an absence of communication, it is an integral part of it. It is the pause that gives words their weight, the stillness that amplifies emotion, and the space that fosters understanding. In a world inundated with noise, the power of silence stands as a reminder that sometimes the most profound messages are delivered in the moments we choose to say nothing at all.